Yo, so I'm back with another one today. And y'all remember that article that came out a few days ago that CNN did about, they're trying to praise single mothers for Mother's Day and everything like that. Come to find out, they did that I guess a few years back. But this article right here that Business and Politics did pretty much says CNN got a backlash, a huge backlash from it too when they had tweeted that out, this article out, and then the people in the comments, man, oh my god, they was giving it to them, they was giving them that work. So those comments show that it was overwhelmingly, it didn't matter what ethnic race you were, they was getting that work, like, because the statistics heavily outweighs that being raised by a single mother is not it's not a plus, it's not a flex, there's no type of advantage about it. But let's just read this part here real quick because they pretty much just giving them that work, and it's just kind of funny. And then at the end, I'm gonna let y'all know what them releasing this article yet again, pretty much, because I didn't know that they did something like this before. I thought this is the first time, because this was the first time I ever seen anything like this, because it was like, who would dare to try to do something like that, knowing that it's totally, completely and totally false. But let's get into it real quick. So it says, in a bizarre tribute to Mother's Day, CNN went back into the archives to dust off an old piece touting the advantages of children we don't have fathers, children who don't have fathers. A ridiculous article that drew much scorn and mockery from Twitter users on the way to being ratio 6 ways from Sunday. God damn. It says, according to the article, which notes that it has been updated since it was originally published in 2019, David G. Allen, editorial director of CNN Features Sections, recalls his own childhood while admitting that he was embarrassed to be raised by a single mom when I was growing up, while going on to cite various studies on single parenthood and acknowledging the pride that he now has and his mother for enduring the burden of raising him without having a father in the home. Then it goes on to say, there has been a lot of research over the decades that has shown children of single parents report more family distress and conflict and live at a lower socioeconomic status compared to those growing up in two-parent households. Two-parent families usually have more income and generally able to provide. All right, so pretty much we know, the reasons of why why it's single parent raised household is not the way to go, why it's always going to be better for a two-parent household and everything like that. What I want to get into, which pretty much is not going to have anything, well, slightly to do with CNN, but nobody has really touched on this part of it. It's pretty much, it just shows that it just shows this article, the original article that CNN did about praising single mothers, it just shows particularly that Black men are now, and have been for the past, what I would say 4 or 5 years now, have been running the yard in media. Like, it's like they know, and everyone is paying attention to Black men and what we say, because we've had this control now and have been running it for the past 5 years. Everyone is paying attention. You have lots of more white people now making content on us and what we're saying, and our content and our culture, as they have always been doing. But it has been pretty much culture, culture vulturing. But now they're starting to make content and react to what we, you know, the content that we make. But I don't see any Black people doing this to white people. Like, we just don't care about what y'all do as far as entertainment, because y'all corny as fuck. Like, that's what the majority of Black people think about white. Y'all corny as fuck. Like, have you ever noticed how you can have a Black comedian and he can pack the house with a lot of white people, but you've never seen a white comedian pack the house with Black people? Like, you've never seen it. Like, you've never, like, I don't think has any, like, what I just said is a bombshell. I wish I had a audio board, because that's something like we've never ever seen in the history of our lifetime. And you never will. You're never going to see that because y'all are corny as fuck. And they know they are. When it comes to entertainment, sports, comedy, anything that has to do with anything that's creative, Black people will always dominate because that's what the fuck we do. But I don't want to get off topic because it just boggles and it boggles my mind how the rest of the world, as far as the ethnic groups, Spanish people, Asians, Middle Easterns, how y'all play along with the white people's game and take their side just because they have financial control, knowing who the real originators are. Like y'all, it's like y'all satisfied with y'all place in this world and society as long as the white people don't treat y'all how they treat us. But anyway, we run this shit. Like the fact that white people are making content about other YouTubers, Black YouTubers, and they don't do this on white people. Like I don't see white YouTubers making content on other white YouTubers. I'm seeing these motherfuckers. I'm seeing them in our arena and talking about us. I mean, we know they've always been talking about hip hop, gotten into hip hop. It's like everything they do, they want to snip their nose in, and they want to be around and hang around and be cool. Because they know, like, to really get in and, like, to really be down, to really be cool, you have to be down with what we do. Because we set the world stage on what's trendy, popular, popping, what's in. We always create a niche, and a niche of what, pretty much what's going to be current. It's like we set the world stage for that. Always have. And always will. I don't see Black content creators making anything, reacting to anything that's white people related. I haven't seen it at all. But like I was saying, like you always see like Chris Rock can pack the house with a lot of white people. Who else have we seen do it? Chris Rock has done it. Richard Pryor has done it. Eddie Murphy has done it. Like we've seen that. We've never seen a white comedian pack the house with a lot of Black people. Never, and you never will, because the styles of comedy between white people and Black people is totally different. That's how you know white people and Black people are different, and that Black people are so much more unique. I hate when they say that all people. No, I'm not gonna go that far because. I'm gonna be tripping. Well, yeah, I'm going that far. When they say all people are created equal, man, that was the phrase "all people were created equal" was a phrase we all know was created by a white slave master, simply because that he knew that they were, and especially physically inferior to the Black African, to the Black man. So how are we created equal when we can dominate you at any given time? In physical combat? Like, anyway, I don't get off topic, but they always in our shit. They always in our business, dog. They won't never. They just like always want to be down with what we do. But we run this shit now. We run what people are talking about on YouTube, and it just forces the media, especially if it's something they don't like, and it's catching on, for them to react. And that CNN article proves that Black men are running the yard. We are setting the stage of what is being talked about the most on YouTube and or throughout the world, because whatever is being talked upon YouTube eventually matriculates and transpire out into the real world. And that's what we've been seeing now for the past 2 years alone. I think I've seen 2 white comment YouTubers who were pretty much, speaking on red pill content when I first got into this red pill, manosphere stuff, in which the manosphere was really created by Black people, but the red pill was created by the white folks. But I've seen one was, I think it was Strong Successful Male or some shit like that. He's a white dude. He's on the Red Pill Content. I can't remember the name of the YouTube channel. I just remember that it's a elf looking dude, some tall, skinny ass elf looking dude. If y'all seen it, y'all know what I'm talking about. Speaking on Red Pill Content, it's some tall elf looking cartoon character looking dude, but that's in the picture that's doing all the talking. But other than that, it's been dominated by black men. And I'm not even gonna name them because I'll be here naming them all. It's like over 10 people easily. And women are even pretty much in the arena. So we are dominating and controlling what's being said and throughout the diaspora. And this forced CNN to release an article to speak to, try to keep some type of hope for single mothers out there alive, because they know and they see what's been going on over the past few years and how pretty much it's a nonstop pedal to the metal floor, and more men coming out spitting, just saying how they're just, totally not dealing with single mothers, so they refuse to get involved with them, doing YouTube videos, video after video on the reasons why you should not date a single mother. It's just nonstop. You know what I'm saying? It's just nonstop. So it forced CNN to respond in the way that they did, and come to find out this wasn't the first time that they did this. So they rehashed an old ass article that they did sometime in the past to save the final hopes that single mother has, because they know they've been getting this work pretty much. Single mothers have been getting this work. Let's be honest. Single mothers have been getting this work for the past, especially for the past 3 years on YouTube. And rightfully so, though, and because they deserve and needed and be held accountable for half of the problems that they caused and got themselves in. But what we've seen has always been passed on to the man. The man has always been ridiculed. Never until this day, until YouTube came about, when more men started to speak up and make content that no, in fact, that these women too should be held more accountable, if not more accountable, because they have the power of whether they're going to choose to bring that child into this, into the world or not. All these forms of contraceptions, all these, you got every type of thing at your disposal that you can have before this baby comes into the world. Now, I'm not advocating for abortion or anything like that. All I'm saying is people should be adults, and you should take responsibilities for your actions. And men have been taking responsibilities for their actions for the longest time. But we've never, and women have been frustrated and, been voicing their frustrations on men for the longest time on a major media platform, from Oprah to Sally Jesse Raphael to Ricky Lake to all these talk shows that it was just geared and catered to women, to the Good Morning America. Like, everything was catered and geared for women, because all men did was work. We didn't sit around and gossip and talk and bitch and complain about the relationship because you're mad about whatever you're feeling emotional about that day. That was y'all shit for the past 3-4 decades. It's been done. Now men are starting to speak up because we're just tired of the BS. We're tired of the non-accountability that women take, especially when it comes to Black women. We're tired of the single mother epidemic. We're just tired of all of the treachery that women do and live, and they seem to be like omitted from it. Like, we're making y'all take accountable, and they hate it, which I don't understand, because we are all grown. Like, how is the man should be totally responsible for what you have control over, and that's making a baby, and not making a dude or not having this dude marry you before these children come into the world. Like, that's the thing I don't understand. See, when I was young, because me and my brother had this conversation the other day, not the other day, like a few months ago. I was born, like, my mother and father raised us, right? And my dad was in the military coming up. When we were very little, we stayed on a military base for like a good 5 years, 5-6 years. So when we were coming up, especially when we were very little, we stayed on a military base for 2 military bases for a duration of 5, 6, 7 years or something like that. We always on the base back in those days, especially back in those days, all you seen was people, that were married. All the people that was there, I'm gonna say the majority, because I did have a friend. I ended up meeting this dude, this boy who I became friends with. He was raised by a single parent, but he was living with his dad. His dad was an officer in the military. My dad he wasn't even an officer yet. And the standard of living for the officers compared to the people who were not officers was so much better for the officers than people who not officers. Their housing was so much better. So he was living with, he's being raised by his father. So I know we eventually lost contact because I moved, but I know dude was raised right. I know he's got a good life and he's doing his thing today because his father, the father that he had in his life, especially in the military, a lot like my father, like no shit, strict dudes, total stand up masculine black men about their business. I know he's doing well in life, but so, I mean, back to the story. So me and my brother were saying that. So in our world coming up, in my mind, I'm thinking that everybody who's being raised is being raised by, a 2-parent household, because that's pretty much all I saw growing up, because I'm living on base. It wasn't until that we pretty much got into high school where we start to see that it was like, damn, it's actually a lot of people, a lot of kids growing up that don't have a father in their life, that don't have a father in their household. That was that's when I started to see, that was a shock to me, because I grew up seeing 2-parent households all the time. Every majority of my people, like all my aunts, all my uncles, they were married. People I seen growing on base and everything, the majority of my friends on base, their parents, they were married. Like it wasn't until I hit high school and when my dad wanted to move off base and not live on base anymore, because he was doing financial well. By that time he had became an officer, you know what I'm saying, moving up in ranks and everything like that. He didn't want to, stay on base. And because by that time we had moved he was stationed in DC, but he didn't want us growing up he didn't want us going to a DC school. So we got a house out in Silver Spring, Maryland, and everything like that. And yeah, but it wasn't an end to the dudes I started hanging out with in high school, my friends and everything like that. I noticed that the majority of them, they didn't have a father in their life. So I always thought that was interesting. But yeah, pretty much CNN is they trying to do some repair. They're working overtime to save face, to give some grace to single mothers, to show them some type of love, because they just been getting this work, this absolute cooking oil, this absolute Crisco oil fire on YouTube for the past 3 years, and it's been getting hotter and hotter for them, because it's like it's not silent no more. The word is out. The cat is out the bag. A lot of people, sounding the alarm very, very loud on speakerphone. You can't. It's no hiding from it now. Even the women are, a lot of YouTube. More and more single mothers make a YouTube video now, TikTok videos now, and everything, speaking out about it, because they tired of seeing, us have our standards, men's standards of not dating single women and everything like that, even though they put themselves in that situation. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. It's just black men, we need to pat ourselves on the back, even though I'm coming into the game late, but we control what goes on. What is talked about. We pretty much took what Rollo Tomassi created in the Red Pill. We took control of it, twisted it, turned it into the manosphere, took over the conversation, took it to a whole nother level, and we running it. Well, I shouldn't even say we, because I'm not really, don't consider myself part of the manosphere, but they running it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we run the yard. Like, they pay attention to what we are saying, what we're doing, instead of vice versa. Nobody watches TV anymore. Like, if you're like most of black men, like all my friends and everything like that, we don't watch TV. Like, none of us, we had this conversation a couple of times. Like, we don't They don't shit they watch. They may have that one or two show that they like. Like majority of my friends, we all watch, NFL. We all watch football. So we know once football season roll around, we're gonna turn that TV on because we want to watch, football, the games and everything like that. But other than that, it's like we're not watching. Like I haven't watched a sitcom and TV I haven't watched in so long. Like the last sitcom that I faithfully watched on TV is when I was a teenager, Martin. Like, yeah, I'm thinking that was the last sitcom that I watched on TV. Like, I never got into the Tyler Perry bullshit, Meet the Browns, none of that bullshit. All that shit was corny to me. I didn't even really get into Blackfish, even though it was straight. I didn't watch Everybody Hates Chris. I think I was in college when that came out. Like, that's the last show I watched when I was a kid. Like, Martin, kid up into my teenage year. I don't watch TV for shit unless it's the NFL. Other than that, I may watch it. I'll put on a movie right before, I'm going to sleep. Let the movie play. I'll watch it until it starts watching me, meaning that I'm falling asleep. Other than that, I don't watch TV at all. And I don't know too many other men black men who watches, mainstream media TV. That shit is dead. That shit is really dead. Cable is dead. Social media is really ruling the block. Like, nobody watches TV no more. This shit is for white folks, white corny folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing on mainstream media TV appeals to me, makes me feel good to watch it. Makes me feel good. Nothing. There's nothing catered to a black masculine man. They don't give a fuck about us. We see the agenda is to destroy and get rid of us. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we the last ones left. Like, if you black, it's like being a black masculine man today. It's starting to be on the levels of becoming extinct. Because where we at? Like, even when I go out, I used to see us all the time back when I was a teenager. I used to see a lot more black masculine men back when I was a teenager. But the 90s, for the kids who don't understand, the 90s was a motherfucker, man. A lot of people didn't make it out the 90s. That late 80s, all through the 90s, a lot of people didn't make it out. A lot got swooped up in the suite. Like, a lot was either killed, dying from drug overdoses, dying from being shot and killed, whether it was gang-related, police. It was just, and then, it was just a huge target of, trying to put black men in jail by any means necessary. It's a lot of people, like they said, I remember seeing an article, like it was in the hundreds of thousands. I forgot what, I want to say 400,000. 400,000 black men throughout the 90s got, pretty much incarcerated. Can you believe that? 400,000 through the whole, out of 10 years, black men got incarcerated in prison doing Joe Biden numbers, football numbers. Crazy. And that's just prison. I'm not even talking about the ones who died, because a lot of us died in the 90s. Like, carjackings will skyrocket once after the Boys in the Hood movie came out. Man, within 6 months, I think they did within a year, it was like carjackings had went up 1,200%. There was so many carjackings that happened, and so many carjackings that happened when the person didn't survive because for whatever reason, dude wanted to decide to shoot him or whatever. It's just a lot of bullshit went on in the 90s where people lost their lives for nothing. A lot of us didn't make it out, man. It's crazy. But yeah, black people, man, we run the yard, and these white people always want to get in on what we doing, always reporting about what we doing when we don't give a fuck about what they doing. That's the funniest thing to me. We don't give a fuck about what y'all do, how y'all do it, nothing like that. We just don't. Only time we have a problem is when y'all try to speak on us and what the fuck we doing, how y'all think we should do it, or anything when it comes to black culture. That's not the only thing we have a problem with. But we don't. What y'all do in y'all culture, how y'all want to do it, we don't give a fuck about. Like, we don't care. We don't care. But like, comment, subscribe, holler at your boy. You know what y'all think. I'm out. Peace.